Code fucking red.
Yeah.
Code red.
But
Bad situation.
We're listening.
I'm code fucking red right now.
they're in the house, dude.
This is code fucking red. Bad juju.
They're breaking and entering, dude. These guys were not
The first time the domicile has been breached, big homie.
No.
I don't think so, dude. Look at all the bodies. This shit happens regularly.
Then why is it code red now?
Because there's so many of them.
They're dead, dude.
Blue at best.
Yeah,
No,
you
this
got
is,
it, bro.
you guys don't understand. There's like hundreds of zombies outside my house.
Nah, yeah, you good.
So I know I said we'd never see King Button again, but his likeness is alive and well. And back in Grapeseed, the only problem is it's 16x and Thindy Stone just dropped the new Smoker's Cough, which is functionally like adding a random shout debuff to your playthrough. The range actually seems a little bigger than a shout, and to be honest, while this is unrealistic, I kind of don't mind. Also, I don't want to be accused of being a reverse realism Randy, but it's kind of like a localized meta event, and until we get the more specific smoked 2 packs a day for 30 years straight, I'm just gonna have to live with it, if I can. Anyway, let's catch up. King Button started off in Grapeseed again, and this time he approached things with a little more intelligence. He didn't shoot guns, at least not on the second day, and when he did shoot guns, he was careful about it. First, he noted about how many Zeds were around and from how far they would actually come. And the truth is that even on 16x you can in fact shoot guns. But because they suck pretty bad, they won't do you any good. But you can shoot them and you can get away with it. Because the Zeds are very stupid. And if you happen to get any amount of separation from them, you can actually safely return to your base, as King Button did here.
Oh fuck, code red.
Although safely is a relative term, because my residence was constantly swarmed and overran by Zeds, as you can probably tell. I've had to rely heavily on my box defense to survive, but until I get completely overwhelmed and overran, I'm not leaving. But we still haven't fully caught up. We need to talk about destroyable world fences, which is a mod. This, more than anything, probably allowed me to stay in Grapeseed as opposed to being forced to run from it. One, because the Zeds would kinda get stuck banging on fences, and so they were occupied and babysat and tended to bother me less. And two, because I had Barricades Hurt Zombies, another mod, active as well, and eventually many of the Zeds simply killed themselves against the fences. Now, this is overpowered in my opinion, so I ended up reducing this by a factor of 5. But for a time, it probably helped King Button stay in Grapeseed. Anyway, in this run, King Button was going about his business as usual, defending his home from the diseased, borrowing goods from his neighbors, killing trees, reading books, and watching the television. And having learned his lesson, he waited until at least day 5 before he started blasting off with his guns again. And this time, he started with the pistol. This did, of course, call in the walkers and plenty of them, but you do a little loop-de-doo and bait them around a fence and you're good to go. By day 6, King Button's fence trap was starting to come together, and I have to say the log gate kind of works well for this, as it's 2 tiles long and somewhat sturdy. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows out here. Day 6 also brought that rubbernecking helicopter jerk-off out to my neck of the woods with a fresh batch of flesh-eating Kentuckians in tow. But I think that fairly catches us up on the situation. From there, life became more or less an ever-expanding circle of violence. That and fence fighting. Mostly fence fighting. Just fence fighting, fence fighting, fence fighting. And sitting down, and also tumultuous weight loss. But let's fast forward closer to the present and talk about the new smoker's trait cough. This has caused a slight bit of controversy and conversation over in the Project Zomboid discussion page. And while I realize it isn't realistic to cough all the time from smoking, it is of course thematically relevant. And this is probably going overboard, but if we're gonna get this deep on the smoker trait, maybe we could get different tiers of smoker trait, like regular smoker, someone who almost never coughs, for 4 points. Then there would be new smokers, an emergent trait you gain in-game by taking up the act of smoking. This one gets no trait point bonuses obviously, but it does get enhanced happiness and stress relief for the first month, but also reduced fitness during that first month, wherein they also start coughing, but both of these things would go away after the month ends. And then we get the big daddy of them all, the smoked 2 packs a day for 30 years trait. This is one that would cough regularly as the trait is currently balanced, but is also awarded 6 to 8 trait points for the trouble. Anyway, moving on, as the month of July was coming to an end, King Button was getting seriously hemmed in on all sides by the onslaught of the Zeds. Every time he killed a sizable horde with his fence box, a new horde simply replaced it. Food and weight were becoming an issue, so King Button did what he usually did when confronted with issues. He pulled out the shotgun and went to work. And while King Button had managed to hit aiming level 2 in all of this chaos, and shotguns were somewhat unnerfed, he really didn't kill all too many Zeds. Beta blockers would have helped, but despite the many dead Zeds around, he didn't really find all too many beta blockers. And after shooting his shotgun for a couple of hours, he got hyper muscle fatigued. So he did another loop-de-loop and left the shotgun Zeds in the killing fields and returned home. But another problem arose that King Button had not anticipated. The extreme case of shotgun muscle fatigue almost made it impossible to melee kill the few Zeds that managed to track him. Anyway, it was also about this time in the playthrough that the Indie Stone had added that smoker's cough, and King Button would get into his first bit of trouble with it. Now the smoker's cough, as I mentioned earlier, and as you can see here, has about the range of a shout, but less than the range of a gunshot. And in a way, despite everything, it's kind of cool because it has the added effect of making base defense relevant, or at least keeping the area around you clear. Obviously, it makes sneaking and stealth somewhat less viable, but I can't say that they are all that viable anyways.
What?
Nor do I or King Button go in for stealth all that much. Anyways, that one cough would lead to King Button getting stretched pretty thin and having to fight into the night against the dark and against tiredness and against these Zed bastards who were obsessed with my drying rack. And then of course upon waking the next day, King Button would continue coughing within the relative safety of his room, which led to the Code Red situation,
Code fucking red
which
right
in
now.
turn would lead to a lengthy couple of days fighting to keep my property from the IRS agents. But King Button would get it done in the end, and now he is looking to expand his box base defense squares because there are so many dead corpses in the main one that even going near it severely lags the game. But at this point in my playthrough, I'm beginning to realize there's just no way to kill all of these zombies. I have to live with them. And even worse than living with the Zeds is I'm getting underweight, and so I have to fish. But now that we've demonstrated what it's like to play 16x and Smoker's Cough, me and King Button are going to get out of here. Alright, peace.
Here, code fucking red. Oh fuck, code red!
Can you stop with this boy cried wolf shit?
Bro, this is not...
Fucking close. I don't want to play this game anymore.
Just
To
press
be
this
honest with you.
stuff on Steam.
I'm like that chick that did 1,000 guys on OnlyFans. Like they just keep coming.
Like that Sean Gillis clip, Sherbo. Get out of here. I thought you was the Domino's guy. Get out of here.
Gonna move.